All right, welcome back. It's always a pleasure to have you guys here. So, in the previous video, you saw us working on a veterinary palm monitor that is used to sort of like test blood pressure, SOP, that's the oxygen content in the blood, and has also an ECG in it and multiple functions in it. And it had one thing that was a charging problem. So I figured I should take this opportunity to break down. Now, that device, we ended up not fixing it because it turned out to be a charging IC problem. So, which made me think of bringing this video. That's to introduce you on the levels of charging problems. Now, one, usually charging problems can come from the charging cable, which is usually USB, and this normally manifests with issues whereby some chargers fix your device but others do not. Now in that case it's likely to be a charging cable issue. And then the next one is the charging port, and you've seen that we fixed a number of those problems. One of those problems involve resoldering the charging terminals, and if you haven't watched the video on soldering, I will link it right there. You can go check it out. Then the other one is usually where we do change the charging port itself, and this one normally involves removing the port, then also being able to resolder it onto the board. And those are normally the typical port issues. And then three is where the charging IC has a problem. That is integrated circuit. I mean, if you're wanting to know what IC is, it's basically an integrated circuit, which in its case is usually a component, a single component. And this usually happens when if the port works well but you don't get the phone charging when you take all manner of measurements. Now you might be wondering, how do I get to know whether it's a charging cable issue, a port issue that requires soldering or that requires changing the port? How do I know it's an IC issues? So that brings us to the idea of diagnosis, in other words figuring out what the issue is. Now, like I have said before, and I want to iterate, this is usually based on history. So this involves probing the client as to what they observed just around the time before the device failed. Now that history will guide your opinion as to what is likely to be the cause. For instance, if the person says their phone charges with other people's cables but not with theirs, then you know basically it's most likely a cable issue whereby it doesn't fit well into the port. And then in scenarios where the person says, I have to bend the USB charger into the port, then there you also know it's most likely a cable, in which case you'll ask them to try another cable, or you will try another cable. If it still doesn't charge without you bending, then you know it is the port. Now if it is the port, that means there are now two scenarios. If it involves bending, then likely the port requires simple resoldering, and this usually could be an issue of the contact points at the end of the port having failed. But it could also be that the port has widened, and at times if it has widened, that would mean you will have to change the port itself, though at times you can go away and narrow the port, and that should be simple solution to that problem. So usually the narrowing issue, I tend to use it whereby I do not have an identical replacement charging port. Now having said that, also based on the history, if the history doesn't include any of the three mentioned symptoms above, then likely it may be a scenario where while charging it was charging, then just suddenly stopped. So any sudden failure will definitely signal you to a likelihood that the charging IC has failed. So that will be a pointer in that direction. Now when you have opened the device, usually it's good to assess the motherboard in case of the charging IC, feel around. If you find a component that is heating up, then you're likely dealing with the fact that the charging IC has failed. So if you're having heating up on a component in the board, it's likely a charging IC. If you experience a short circuit on the board, then it's likely an IC problem. Now that's how you diagnose that. Now for the case of our device, the veterinary monitor, it turned out that it was an issue of the charging IC, and we detected that by experiencing heating on a component on the motherboard. And when we checked the model number, it turned out to be actually a charging IC. So now the next stage is definitely after you've identified the problem, that would be with fixing. So if you wanted to fix, let's say, a problem of the charging cable, here you just literally change the charging port. The charging cable. There's nothing really to do with that. And then for port soldering, definitely here you will have to learn the idea of soldering and how to use a soldering iron and soldering wire and all that. You will find it in that video about soldering. Then the next stage is where you have to change the charging port itself. Now if you have to change the charging port, there are basically three things you will have to know how to do. In this case, you will need to know how to do three things. One is being able to also open the phone or the device. This one is a no-brainer. I tend to show those videos. And then two is you need to know how to remove the old port. Now in removing the old port, there are about two methods that you can go with. One is hot air gun, and then two is using the soldering iron. I have never done this using the soldering iron, but maybe someday I will show you. But it's more time consuming, and so we tend to stick with the hot air gun. That tends to solve our issues perfectly well. Now the next thing you will need to know when changing a port is how to place it. Basically placing it in a manner that it doesn't fail on you is paramount, because that would be very, very interesting. Anyway, we've done a couple of videos. I'll just attach a sample of charging port replacement right there, and then you'll see what we go through. So maybe someday in the future I'll be able to take you through all the stages of doing a charging port replacement, or take you through individual stages of how to deal with the issue of charging. So I think if I try to reiterate, we will remember that if I attempt to list what the charging problems can be, then we are looking at one, USB issue. And this change simply the USB. So 3, port is widened. That one is for narrowing or changing the port. 2, port is partially desoldered. So this one simply requires resoldering, and you're good to go. That is the power rails. And then we look at 4, power port is damaged, and that one we simply do a replacement. If the pot is damaged, we simply replace the pot. And then the other thing is part of this one, I think I didn't talk about it, part of board is broken, and this usually will happen under a fall. Broken part of the board. I did say board and then broken, but forgive me. So that one will be for changing the entire subboard onto which the pot holds. And then we talked of the IC problem. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. I think those are the ones that come to mind. But one day, I think I will solve most of these coming down for you. I'll show you a scenario where the pot is widened and how you just simply narrow it, and then whereby the pot is partially broken at the terminals. Show you the resoldering, but resoldering almost the same as where the pot is dead, damaged, and needs to be replaced. Anyway, I think I have over repeated those concepts. And anyway, if you're new to this channel, please do hit the subscribe button and feel free to return here on every single day, because I think we promise that you'll be able to reproduce the repairs we do here and even be able to fix wholly new challenges. Anyway, so I think among the problems, that I might also note that occur with charging issues. Okay, I just want to list the devices that are okay. I'm hoping that's the spelling. Devices that are affected. One, of course, you have phones, and this includes smartphones. This is the smartphone. With smartphones, the difficulty is in opening, and then button phones. Here, there's nothing much to do with this. Then the other devices that also have problems of charging, usually Bluetooth speakers. These also will be covered here. And then let me just say, any rechargeable kind of device should be fixable. In case you watch the charging repair videos, they give you a clue in the direction you want to go. Now, of course, we had that portable veterinary palm monitor. That was also a rechargeable device, which we have fixed here on this channel. And then we have Bluetooth speakers. We already covered those in this channel. And any form of rechargeable device, you'll find that most of the problems that you encounter fall within the 6 we have listed. And in case we figure out any new ones that we might have omitted or remember them, we will let you know. So feel free to like our videos, and I think it is prudent that you subscribe so that you're notified. You never know what device or what video comes to your aid, and I think it only goes to say that you share. And thanks for being with me for this short 15 minutes. They're actually 15 minutes. I don't know whether 15 minutes can be short. After all, if they are short, they're not 15 minutes. I mean, sometimes we speak meaningless tautologies, but forgive us. It's very hard to speak non-stop and without a script for this long. It's lovely having you guys here, and I'm quite glad that you've been watching. And I think the target now that we are chasing is that if you guys could actually help me, we want to hit 1,000 subscribers, and then 4,000 watch hours, and that's to help me get monetized. I mean, this will give me the liberty to have some cash flow to buy equipment and devices that I will be able to use to demonstrate some of these repairs, because we promise that you will learn repair, both as a business, as a hobby, and even for you who is a scholar, we assure you you will have a bridge between the theory you cover in class and hands-on issues. Anyway, I've rambled long enough, even after signing out. It reminds me of those speeches I used to give, least but not last. I hated that statement. Anyway, least but not last. See you in the next video.